Auditor-General Tsakani Maluleke says while the improvements in the audit outcomes are encouraging, sustainable solutions required to prevent accountability failures are not yet in place. Overall audit outcomes improved, with 66 auditees improving and 35 transgressing. Countrywide, 74% of auditees received unqualified audit opinions on their financial statements, a slight improvement from 71% in the previous year.
Whilst we're seeing some signs of improvement in this year, we remain somewhat concerned that we're not seeing the progressive and sustainable improvements that are required. We're not seeing that there are improvements in addressing the widespread weaknesses in basic financial management controls. Things such as implementing the audit action plans that are designed at the end of the previous financial audit. Things such as making sure that our IT controls are dealt with, record keeping is addressed, in-year management reports on financial issues are prepared, and that decisions are made on credible financial and performance information.
The Auditor General says supply chain management non-compliance is the main cause of irregular expenditure. Maluleke says public servants and political office bearers continue to do business with the state despite the practice having been outlawed. Non-compliance resulting in overcharging of goods and services is estimated to have caused a financial loss of 983 million rands. Other losses resulted from cases of appointment of suppliers not delivering and payment of goods not received and receiving goods of poor quality. Maluleke says the culture of tolerance of transgressions and lack of consequences should be addressed.
If we think about the context within which we are operating now, where resources are scarce and have to be stretched to meet the complex and competing needs of citizens, the urgency of us dealing with these transgressions, these accountability failures, the urgency of us avoiding leakage and stemming any potential further loss, that urgency cannot be overstated.
Maluleke expressed concern that there are state-owned entities that are in serious financial difficulty and did not submit financial statements for auditing. This includes South African Airways and SA Express. The Auditor General's office says it has referred the matter to Parliament to manage accountability. SABC News, Pretoria.
And the Auditor General Tsakani Maluleke joins me now live. AG, a very good evening to you. Thanks indeed for your time. So when you came into office, you said this is the era of accountability. Is that starting to show?
Good evening, Griselda, and good evening to your viewers at home. And thank you for the opportunity to talk to you this evening. What we are starting to see, having completed this audit, is that a number of accounting officers are demonstrating some responsiveness, especially where we have notified them of material irregularities. So that's one area that is encouraging, that we're seeing them act in a way that's consistent with the provisions of the law. The other area of some encouragement is that there is some improvement in the number of clean audits. There's a reduction in the number of qualified audit opinions. Those are the ones where we've qualified our opinion on the credibility of financial statements, and also a decline in the number of disclaimer audit opinions. So I think those are the things that we're seeing as indications of some improvement. However, we caution that we must not be complacent, because these improvements are not yet demonstrating sustainability. We have yet to see evidence that there are strong controls in government, that there are the requisite investments in shaping and maintaining key controls across government.
From what we see, more than 50% of the government departments have presented a credible information in the year under review. Does this perhaps speak to tighter controls?
Well, we've seen a slight improvement at the end of the audit process. However, what we're saying when we say that only 49%, so less than 50% of auditees submitted quality financial statements at the beginning of the audit process. Then we saw them improving the credibility of their audit process by processing the corrections to what they had initially submitted, using the audit process to improve the quality of their financial statements. That's an unsustainable practice. And it concerns us, not only because it results in costly and lengthy and tension-riddled audit processes, but it's a demonstration that the credibility of information that is being used for in-year reporting is questionable, for in-year monitoring is questionable. So if you think about how the year would run, somewhere middle of the year, somebody has got to look and check how expenditures are being managed, whether revenue is being generated and collected in the way that had been planned, and if there's a need to adjust those plans, make those decisions. And we're not seeing evidence that there is a discipline of generating the type of credible information that can inform quality and effective decision making.
Yeah. AG, supply chain in the public sector, though, is still a matter of concern. We've been speaking about this for a very long time. Public servants doing business with the state, conflict of interest. Is there a way to rectify this? Every time I think we have this conversation, it's one of the issues that is always being brought up, where you have public servants who are doing business with the state in direct conflict.
So we found this year that 553 public servants and office bearers were still conducting business with the state. And this is in contravention of the amended regulations for the public service. The best way for us to stem this is twofold. One is for advocating for the right behavior by all parties, whether it's employees or the ones who are actually procuring goods and services. The second one is by developing and implementing the controls that would help to detect that this is happening. First of all, to prevent it happening, but to detect it when it happens and also apply consequences, which will then feed into the first part about advocacy. Because it's one thing to tell somebody what's right, but a different matter when you can demonstrate that you will not hesitate to take action when they have flouted what is the established norm.
And that action, I heard you say during your presentation, needs a lot more collaboration with some of the law enforcement agencies and others to be able to deal with some of these challenges, isn't it?
Yes, absolutely, Griselda. So what you're saying is that having implemented our new powers, which powers came into effect on the 1st of April 2019, having had the 2-year journey of implementing these powers, what we're learning is that the effect of those powers is compromised when we are unable to collaborate effectively between the accounting officer and the law enforcement agency. And even for ourselves, we end up relying on the law enforcement agencies to act. We rely on the investigative bodies to actually complete investigations. Central to our message is that we need to collaborate. All of the players across the system that have responsibility around the public finance management system, we need to all play our roles, and we need to collaborate so that we play the complementary roles as designed. So that's quite critical. And the urgency of the moment demands that.
The Auditor-General, thank you very much indeed for your time this evening on the SABC News Channel. The Auditor-General Tsakani Maluleke joining us here on The Full View.